Bhagavatam, he said, there is no comparison or competition. Every word is for the good of the human society, each and every word. Therefore, we stress so much in the book distribution. Somehow or other, if the book goes in one's hand, he will be benefited. He will be benefited. At least he'll see, I have taken so much price. Let me see what is there. If he reads one sloka, his life will become successful. If he reads one sloka, one word, this is such a nice thing. Therefore, we are stressing so much. Please distribute books, distribute books, distribute books. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 3, Rishabdev's appearance, texts 18. So I'll just run through it. Tata Agnidraya Misha Kalaya Vachyami Atma Tulyam Anupalavana. So responsibly, please. Tata. Therefore, Agnidraya, in the wife of Nabi, the son of Agnidra. Amshikalaya, by an expansion of my personal form. Avatarishami, I shall invent myself. Atmatulyam, my equal. Anupalabana, not finding. Since I cannot find anyone equal to me, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion, and thus invent myself in the womb of Merudevi, the wife of Maharaj Nabi, the son of Agnidra. Responsibly, please. Since I cannot find anyone equal to me, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion, and thus invent myself in the womb of Merudevi, the wife of Maharaj Nabi, the son of Agnidra. Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is an example of the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he is one without a second, he expands himself by swamsa, his personal expansion, and sometimes by vibhinamsa, or his separated expansion. Lord Vishnu herein agrees to send his personal expansion as the son of Merudevi, the wife of Maharaj Nabi, who is the son of Agnidra. The Ritvija, the priests, knew that God is one, yet they prayed for the Supreme Lord to become the son of Maharaj Nabi, to let the world know that the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is one without a second. When he incarnates, he expands himself in different potencies. Oh my God, the Shagananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Maritanyana Tatsmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhattarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanshikapatrubhisya Kripashinuvekvacha Padidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Since I cannot find anyone equal to me, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion, and thus invent myself in the womb of Merudevi, the wife of Maharaj Nabi, the son of Agnidra. Shishikara Nitai Mayapur Shashi ki jai. Sri Kasinath Maharaj ki jai. Shri Giri Lal ki jai. Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan ki jai. So Srila Prabhupada is making the point in the purport that there's personal expansion and there's separated expansion. So separated expansion is what we are. We're Vibhinamsa. We're tiny parts and parcels. We're Jiva Tattva. And then there's Vishnu Tattva, and then there's Shakti Tattva. So Shakti Tattva is the The source of all Shakti Tattva is Srimati Radharani, and then all the consorts, goddesses of fortune, the gopis, they're all expansions. So, in one sense, it's a little difficult to understand because Krishna is compared to the original candle, and then all the other candles are lit from this original candle. But in another sense, all the candles are already lit because everything is eternal. So it's not that Krishna existed on his own at one time, and then everybody came into existence. Although it is said like that, I was one, and then I became many to enjoy. But at the same time, Krishna says, "Natoevaham," never was there a time when I did not exist. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that if we function in the time factor of past, present, and future, then there will always be doubts and arguments, which will lead to anarthas. So we have to fully appreciate the situation, the reality of the situation. We have to kind of grasp the concept of the eternal present, that there is nothing but the moment. As one friend of mine said, actually, which was quite interesting, I was going to look at his hand because I can read palms a little bit. And I said, can I look at your palm and I can tell you when you're going to die? And he said, no, I don't need to know that. I already know when I'm going to die. And I said, well, when are you going to die? And he said, now. And so I asked him, how can it be now? He said, because when I die, it will be now. And that now is the same now that we're occupying right now. It's the same now that we were born in, and it's the same now that we'll die in. It's the eternal present. And it only appears like this past, present, and future because people are going past us with things. Just like if you're in a train, and sometimes it seems like the train is stationary, and then somebody on the platform, one of the workers, he picks up something that needs to be moved, maybe picks up a sign, he wants to reposition the sign. You see the sign go past the window and you think, oh, great, we're off. And then suddenly you realize we're not off. We're exactly where we were. So in the same way, we think, oh, now I'm getting older. But we don't actually, we stay at the same point, but the material energy goes past us and it gives the sensation of time passing and of us growing old. We occupy the same moment. Always. We always have and we always will occupy the same moment. It will be always the same point in time. Because there is no past and there is no future in the spiritual world. So when Krishna expands himself, it's one way of trying to understand, but the fact is he is already everything and everybody. Some is personal, and some are separated expansions. So we're separated, unfortunately. Although also fortunate as well, because we have a special relationship with Krishna that Krishna doesn't have with his Vishnu Tattva, because we are Jiva Tattva, and we're so helpless and we're so dependent, then we're like Krishna's children. So he has a special bond of affection for us. And we're in a helpless condition in the material world, trying to serve Krishna and go back to him. So he's especially pleased with us. I mean, Krishna's so amazing, even if you hate Krishna and you keep thinking about him all the time. I hate Krishna. He's so bossy and unfair and selfish. And you get other people and you tell them how horrible Krishna is, and you decide, well, let's kill him. Let's find out where he is and we'll go and kill him, which is what Kamsa was doing. And even then, Krishna still gave Kamsa a form like his own. So what to speak of thinking of Krishna and trying, maybe you don't feel you have much love for Krishna, but you'd like to have some love for Krishna. You'd like to serve him and please him in some way. Give his feet a massage, make a garland for him, offer him some nice food, do some nice painting for him, which is what we'll be doing this morning. Whatever it is anyway. All you people that are listening online, you can go off now and whatever it is you're about to do, you're going to make some toast today. Make that toast for Krishna. Think, I want to make this toast so nice. I'll offer it to Krishna. Here's some toast. Good morning, Krishna. Hope you have a great day. Krishna's very pleased. by all these little acts of devotion and love. We can do that. We can easily try. We may not be able to love Krishna purely, completely, but we can try immediately. So Krishna expands himself, his swamsa, his personal expansion, and then he has his vibhinamsa, or his separated expansion. And Lord Vishnu here agrees to send his personal expansion. So that's a special benediction. And he's going to take birth as Rishabdev. You know, we have the wonderful qualities of Rishabdev, very special person. And so here we are, I don't know how thousands of years later, reading this. Srila Prabhupada is saying if we just hear one shloka, if we just hear one word, then there's so much benefit there. So then we could ask, am I hearing? Is it really going in, you know? How deeply is it going in? And how can we improve the hearing process? One of the problems with hearing is a problem called laya, L-A-Y-A. It's sleep, laya. Laya is a big obstacle. And sleep is due to lack of interest and absorption in the body, and also the effect of the mode of ignorance. So sometimes if you're feeling very sleepy, and then someone says, Prabhu, I've just found a pot of sweet rice with strawberries in. Looks like it needs respecting. You find you don't feel so sleepy anymore. Suddenly you feel very full of energy. So, any questions or comments? John looks like he's got a question. Got a question, John? About the sweet rice? Got a question?
One without a second. I've heard that in lecture, because Radharani is like the first expansion, that expansion of Krishna's pleasure potency. So Krishna is one without a second. What does that actually mean, and how does it mean in relation to his expansions?
So it's referred to that Krishna is one without a second. Although he is one, Srila Prabhupada says, although he is one without a second, he expands himself. So what does that mean, do you think, John? Although he is one without a second, and yet he expands himself. What's that?
He's God and can expand himself without a second. He's God. He's unique. Nobody's got power equal to him. That's why God's one. So that's what
He's because God is one, but because he is God, he can also expand himself, although he is one. Any ideas? Other ideas? Although he is one.
Nice example, like with the candle, that's like the original flame, and you can light many other candles with it, and kind of they all look the same, but still the original candle is the original one.
Yeah, the original. So that example is given of there's one original candle, and then that lights all the other candles, but that original candle still remains the same, and it doesn't become depleted. It's not that after you've lit 100 candles, the original candle has only got a flame half the size because you've worn out the candle. It's able to keep expanding and expanding and expanding. Another example given also is you can have hundreds and hundreds of jars full of water, and they can all reflect the sun. So the sun's not diminished in any way. At the same time, you can have all these. Any other thoughts on that? How he is one, although he is one without a second, and yet at the same time he expands himself. How to understand that?
I heard in a recent lecture from Indradyumna Maharaj, there is a pastime where Krishna decides he's going to expand into Radharani, but it's only an apparent pastime because Radharani has always existed. I thought that was quite interesting. Krishna looks at his reflection, he sees it in golden, and he thinks, that's nice. He decides to expand his Radharani, but it's only like it's an apparent sort of pastime when it happens, but it's always been there. So I don't know if you could explain that notion.
Well, just in the general understanding, without getting too specific, what's interesting, some of the books Shiva Ramanuja have done, Krishna and Vrindavan, so it's very interesting. We see some of the pastimes that Krishna's in, and quite often Krishna is helpless under the influence of his own yoga maya. He's separated from Srimati Radharani, and he so much wants to be with her, but there's so many other considerations to take account of, and therefore he's prevented. And he realizes this is his leela, his pastime potency taking place. So Krishna, although he can do anything and nothing can stop him from doing anything, he casts aside his godhead in his most confidential pastimes because he especially wants to just be a person, to just enjoy. And for us, we take it for granted, that being a person and being helpless is normal, and even an inconvenience. And we're thinking, wow, if I was God, I could just wave my hand now, make the skies blue, some nice white fluffy clouds, rain some mango nectar about 11:30, and jump out there with a cup. Then 12:30, a few Burfi balls can come rolling down from the sky. And then, you'd have all these ideas of how you're going to enjoy yourself as God. And then when we read about Krishna's pastimes, he's in all these really difficult situations. He's having to fight so many elements and conquer over so many challenging. And Krishna's preferring to be like us, to experience being a person in full. And in Vaikuntha, everyone is all in reverence, and everyone knows Krishna, that Narayan is God, and everyone's just offering worship. But Krishna, in Goloka Vrindavan, he's experiencing the full bliss and pleasure of being a person. And there's one pastime where Lord Brahma was offering prayers, and he was trying to appease Krishna, and there was some special other personalities there, and they were all. And the cowhead boys were getting a little bit impatient. They wanted to go and have some fun in the forest. There was all these people here with glowing bodies and loads of heads and eyes all over their bodies. And the cowhead boys, and they're getting a little bit impatient. Can we just go and play in the forests? And that's what Krishna wants to do as well. He just wants to go and play and be a little boy with his friends. So that's very confidential to be able to get a glimpse into actually what is going on. People are all pondering, they're all getting paranoid about, what is actually going on? Anyone know what's actually going on? Some people have got masks on, some people have not got masks on. Sometimes we're being told it's good to have the mask on, sometimes we're being told it's carcinogenic to wear a mask and slowly suffocate yourself. And people are thinking, well, what is actually going on? What is going on? And we have the really big picture to the extent that what's going on this tiny speck, I mean, we're a speck on a speck in a universe which is a speck in the cosmic manifestation. It's so insignificant what is going on. But the bigger picture of what's going on is Krishna wants to go and play with his friends in the fields with his cows. That's what's going on. That's actually what's really going on. And all these other things that are going on, they're just like boring illusions, which aren't really tangible, that we're distracted by right now. And through our chanting and our reading, we're trying to focus on the reality. That's actually what's going on. Krishna just wants to. And because Krishna is greedy for love, he wants our love as well. He wants us in there to be part of the pastimes with him. It's not that sometimes you could be thinking, well, Krishna's up there with trillions and trillions of cowhead boys and cows and gopis, and he probably doesn't even know I exist. And he probably couldn't even fit me in, probably couldn't even, maybe squeeze me in as a blade of grass, but that's about as much as I'd get in the spiritual world. There is a philosophy that there isn't actually a lot of room in the spiritual world. There's only enough room for 12,000 people. Everyone else has to stay on earth. And if you've heard that before, you can only get 12,000 in. After that, everyone's like squeezed up to the side of the spiritual universe. after 12,000. Sorry, guys, no more. No, stay down there on planet Earth. But spiritual is unlimited, and Krishna's desire to enjoy with his devotees is unlimited. So he always wants more people to come in. Right now, there's somebody wanting John. They'd like John to give a hand with the with peeling the potatoes in the spiritual world. They're doing it, and Krishna's saying, "Where's the chips?" And they said, "Wow, there's only 10 of us." And Krishna said, "Well, what about John? He can peel potatoes, can't he? 7 for John. He's in Les Mahego right now. He'll come in handy." So everyone is needed, and everyone is valued, and everyone feels that what they're doing is essential. It's all very important what they're doing, And what's going on here? People are trying to be important and busy and make things essential by making a few quid and getting a big shiny car that stays shiny for 5 years and then starts going rusty, and then before you know it, you're out, game over, and back you come again. It's like snakes and ladders. You roll a dice, and you go up a ladder or you go down a snake, just depending on your karma. Everyone's playing snakes and ladders. This is Bhumi is the middle planetary system. This is where you accrue karma, and then you go up to enjoy, or you go down to suffer. So this is where you roll the dice, and then you go from there, and then you have to come back again, and then roll the dice again. And if you're really clever, you'll think, well, I don't want to keep rolling the dice. Can I just get off the game, finish the game, and get up and go away, and get back to my real situation where I really belong? So one without a second is to kind of illustrate this aspect that although Krishna was dancing with all the gopis, every gopi thought that she had Krishna. So that's what's special about Krishna, is that everyone that has a relationship with Krishna feels like this is their Krishna, and that their relationship is the most special, and that it's one without a second. So that's how wonderful God is, that he can make everyone feel like the relationship they have with him is one without a second. Whether you're a gopi dancing with him, or you're a cowhead boy playing with him, or you're whoever you are, your relationship, you feel it's the most special, and it's better than anybody else's. Everyone feels like that. So that's how Krishna is able to be with everyone, and yet everyone feels like that they just have Krishna to themselves. Otherwise, it would be kind of, it wouldn't be so satisfying, would it, that, there's Krishna and there's 5 trillion people all around him, and you're trying to squeeze through to say Hari Bol, and he's kind of smiling at everyone, but he don't really feel like he's acknowledged you. I mean, Srila Prabhupada, if you read these, see these memories of Srila Prabhupada, it's amazing how many devotees would be in a lecture and they felt that Srila Prabhupada was speaking directly to them, and that it was meant especially for them. And so that's the nature of Krishna and his pure devotees, that everyone feels like, I'm connected and this is one without a second. Any other questions or comments? Oh, John's got a question, John. So that's a nice question. Although he is one without a second, he expands himself. So we could say, from an emotional point of view, to us, God is one without a second. And from a philosophical point of view, we know that God is in every molecule of every atom of every universe in the entire creation. But it's hard to emotionally function like that. So the way we are made is we are made to have intimate relationships in a more simplified way. That's the way we are. That's the way we exist. That's how we relate to the world. around us as well. Have relationships with people. So Lord Vishnu herein agrees to send his personal expansion. So the Bhagavatam is explaining as well who God is, how he manifests himself, what he does when he manifests himself, and what are the events that lead up to that happening. So they're probably the most important events that can take place in the universe, is how an incarnation of God comes about. I mean, can you think of anything more important than that? If we had a universal paper, read all about it, and it's like it's been distributed to 14 planetary systems, the universal echo. Read all about it, read all about it. Mrs. Smith's cat Tittles stuck in a tree in South Lanarkshire, let's Mahego. I mean, who's really interested, right? But Bhagavatam, read all about it. Rishabdev will appear from the womb of Meredith. That's interesting. That's important. So what we're hearing here is special, very special information. How the Lord incarnates, why he incarnates, what he does when he incarnates. These are all amazing glimpses. I'm special privy to such confidential knowledge. And the nature of absolute truth is that when you know something of what is actually going on, the real picture of what is going on, then it brings a lot of peace and satisfaction to the heart. As Lord Chaitanya says, it is the nectar for which we're always anxious. So part of the reason why people are so concerned about conspiracy theories is because they know that they don't have the full picture. So they're a little bit paranoid. They're thinking, well, I know I'm not being given the full facts. But the fact is, even the ones that are doing conspiracies, they don't even have the full facts. They don't even really know what's going on. I was just reading this morning that in order for anyone to kill any amount of people, in large numbers, like hundreds of thousands of people, it can only happen by the sanction of the Lord. So you may say, well, this is a conspiracy, this person wanted to put this in the water, and that made everybody go brain dead, and then this happened and that. But for anything to happen on a large scale, it has to have been sanctioned. Has to have been sanctioned by the Lord. So if you know about the Lord and his incarnations, then you've got the scoop on everything, whatever's going on. And then other people are worried about, groups of people getting together in a smoky room, all talking about what evil things we're going to do. Well, today, why don't we build a nuclear reactor on a fault line? And eventually, of course, it'll blow up, and that'll kill about 25 million people. Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. So the fact is we are in ignorance. We don't know what's going on. We don't know whether the earth is flat. We don't know. One man was so concerned about finding out whether the earth was flat. He got a lot of weather balloons and put them up with a really good camera on, took them to see if, when you look from a high distance, does it just keep going on? So people are concerned about, well, what is actually going on? What is, but we'll never find out the ultimate reality through our senses. So we'll always reach a point of dissatisfaction, no matter how clever we are. Even if we have 4 heads and we live on a lotus flower, we're still not going to be. It's not until Lord Brahma had undergone penance and austerity that Krishna revealed everything to him, and then he could understand. That's the only way you can understand. No matter how clever you are, until you reach that point of being submissive and giving up your pride, then you won't be able to figure it out. So the first thing you need to figure out is that you can't figure it out. And when you come to that conclusion, then there can be humility. And then you have a chance of things being revealed to you. Things being revealed is a different process from figuring things out. Because when you figure something out, you're the one that gets the praise. I figured it out. When something's revealed to you, then immediately you only give praise to the person who's revealed it to you. So it's a different process. It's not something that's going to bolster up your ego when something's revealed to you. So it's a very dynamic process, Krishna consciousness, and the quicker we can align ourselves with the process and do it properly, like we were hearing yesterday about chanting. Are we actually chanting, or are we just chanting? Are we in class, or are we just sitting there? Are we actually taking an interest? Are we actually doing service, or are we just trying to get through the day till the next prasadam time? You know, are we actually doing it? If we're actually chanting and we're actually serving, then we'll get these amazing epiphanies, these amazing revelations. The spiritual world will just come shining through. As in the past time with Vamanadev, he cracked the universe open, and then the Ganges, the water from the spiritual world, came trickling in. So we want Vamanadev to appear in our hearts and kick through the shell of false ego so that the spiritual world can come trickling in and we can become aware, we can bathe ourselves in the Ganga of knowledge that's flowing. Krishna is very keen to have us become aware of it. We don't want to miss the boat. We don't want to miss the opportunity. You can miss the whole thing if you just don't align properly, and then it's a shame because there's so much nectar there. We don't want to miss the boat. Any other questions or comments? You've got a question?
Yeah, could you explain or give an example of expansion? Explain yeah.
Shishipanitai Mata Shashi Ki Jai.
Yeah, that focus on expansion.
Well, there's Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva. So Vishnu Tattva is personal expansion, and Jiva Tattva is also an expansion, but it's a separated expansion. So tiny, infinitesimal. Whereas a personal expansion is Abhigya and Swarat, which means fully independent and fully conscious, fully cognizant of everything going on. We're aware of what's going on in our own bodies, but I'm not aware of what's going on in John's body. So our consciousness is limited, and then there's the unlimited consciousness. And we have a very sweet relationship because when Krishna, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you see how Krishna's associating with Advaita Acharya, Lord Nityananda, but then he's especially relishing his interactions with Ramananda Roy, Sanatana Goswami, Haridas Thakur. These are Jiva Tattva. So Lord Chaitanya especially likes to associate, which is amazing, isn't it? That God, because you'd think, well, if I'm going to hang out with anybody, I'm going to hang out with my own expansions because they're all really powerful and cool and they know everything that's going on. They're fully independent. Whereas these ones are little tiddlers and they're always getting things wrong. And, but Krishna likes to hang out with the Vibhinamsa expansions. So there's probably a lot more technical information to that. That's a basic understanding anyway. Any other questions or comments? Since I cannot find anyone equal to me, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion and adult myself in the womb of Maradevi, the wife of Maharaj Nabi, the son of Agni Indra. So we've talked about how although God is one without a second, he's expanding himself. But although he expands himself, everyone is feeling that he is one without a second for them. So he doesn't diminish. It's the wonderful thing about Krishna is although he expands himself into so many, it doesn't diminish the fact that you feel like he's one without a second when he's relating to you, either in the form of the holy name, or in the form of some lila, some pastime, or in the form of the deity, or even in the form of your service that you're rendering, and you feel that this is one without a second. This is me and my special relationship with Krishna. So it's amazing that he can do that. He can have so many people that he interacts with and has relationships with, and everyone is feeling that this is my own special, exclusive relationship with Krishna. He is one without a second. Although at the same time, philosophically, we know that he's in every atom. We know that he has trillions of devotees, and they all have relationships with him as well. And it helps us to stay humble, that we feel like in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, they're trying to find, Gopkumar is trying to find the best devotee. And every time he goes to a devotee, the devotee says, well, yeah, but this devotee is even more special than me. No one is feeling, even directly associating with Krishna, nobody is feeling that they're the best devotee, that they're the most special. Everyone sees how many other wonderful devotees are there and how they all have special relationships and love for Krishna. And what's really interesting is that it's said that in the spiritual world, although all the devotees love each other very much, the reason why they love each other very much is because of how much they see that devotee loves Krishna. It's not like, oh, I really like that cowhead boy. He's so cool, the way he spins his stick up in the air, and he can herd hundreds of cows, and they never get lost. I really like him. But they like each other because they see how much that cowhead boy loves Krishna. And when they see how much that cowhead boy loves Krishna, they really love that cowhead boy. So everything is based around Krishna, how much everybody appreciates Krishna. And then everyone is loved accordingly. So everyone is feeling they have a special relationship with Krishna that nobody else has, but that everybody else has so much more love for Krishna than I do. But not in a way that makes them lose their self-esteem, but just that they feel then how kind Krishna is, that even though I don't have anything special to offer Krishna, and yet still he loves me so much, how kind Krishna is. So it just increases the rasa, the loving appreciation. So that's a nice question, yeah. How can he expand, although he is one without a second? So he doesn't want that to infringe upon that you feel you have a special relationship with him and that he's one without a second for you. And the devotees will say wherever they're worshipping the deities, that these deities are the... I remember I was in Budapest, and I was looking at Lord Nityananda. By that time I'd been a few times to Budapest, and I was wondering, have they put a different deity in from the one when I was here last, I was thinking, how come I never noticed before how beautiful Lord Nityananda. So the deities reveal themselves, and then as they reveal themselves, then you feel that deity is one without a second for you. And what's interesting, actually, on that whole subject of deities and different paintings we see of Krishna, is when Lord Brahma stole away the cowhead boys, Lord Balaram was wondering, why why are the cowherd men so in love with their children? You know, the calves had broke away to go and drink the milk, and they were a little bit angry. But as soon as they saw their sons, they took their sons and they smelt their sons' heads, and then immediately tears were coming to their eyes, and they were feeling so much love. So none of those children looked like Krishna. They all looked however they looked, as they did when they were their children. They had all the same, their voices sounded the same, their characteristics were the same, everything was the same, but they felt so much love for each particular. So that's the amazing thing about Krishna, that when it's Krishna, then whether he's Krishna in this deity, or he's Krishna in this painting, or he's Krishna in this pastime, then still, because he's Krishna, then it's the most lovable, most attractive. And one artist was saying to Srila Prabhupada, he was saying, I'm a bit confused. You know, there's so many different pictures of Krishna. Which is the one that is actually Krishna? And Srila Prabhupada looked at him like he was mad, and he said, all of them. So the artist had to think about that. So yeah, Krishna is one without a second, although he expands himself into so many forms, and because they're Krishna, then they're all special, they're all the most lovable. Okay, so I can finish there unless there's any last questions or comments. Jai. Yes, Ganga in the key. Srila Prabhupada ki. Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Go back to the key.